wing it today.
Happy
Happy
Friday!
January 10th, 2020. We're winging it today.
Linda's on fire, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now can I say Happy Friday?
Yeah, please.
Happy Friday. Friday. So Matthew was helping fix an imaging problem, and the solution was to wiggle it.
Wiggle it.
Wiggle what?
Wiggle and snap it. You gotta snap it. Snap and wiggle. Snap and wiggle.
So
Like a new Zumba class.
for the context, it was when I opened my internet browser, it was not, I didn't have the top taskbar.
That's
So
happened.
you go to the bottom, because it was off the top of my monitor. So Matthew's solution was to shrink the, or, you know, catch the bottom.
Go to the
And
bottom.
I'll
I
just
noticed
share
the
my
frame.
screen.
I noticed the
Oh.
frame of it was necessarily showing above the actual tool.
Ah.
So we just wiggled it right here, and then it put my taskbar
Just
back on the
wiggle.
top, so I could see the, because before
Oh, got it.
off right here, and I didn't have my taskbar or my tabs.
Got it.
And I'm going to remember that. Wiggle it.
I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm gonna forget
That
that. as soon as
actually
we're
happened
done.
to me at a client's doing their sales tax, and we completed the whole form, and we went down and we were paying their sales tax, and somehow we missed. You have to say, do you really want to pay it? And they say, are you sure you want to pay it? And you have to type it. Anyway, we missed one of those and we never paid it. And then 3 weeks later, she got a notice that she hadn't paid her sales tax. And it was, she has a tiny, tiny monitor. So I told her,
Happened to me
from
too.
here on in, when we get to that point, she's going to pay the sales tax. I'll do the form and everything, but then she can pay the sales tax. Because she didn't go, see, I checked my bank account to make sure payments have cleared it. And she never does that. She never goes to online banking.
What is
So-
her resistance to buying a bigger monitor? It's
I have
not
one like that too.
a
Yeah,
whole,
her resistance is she has a real old cabinet and a larger monitor won't fit in that cabinet. And I said, well, you know, actually, if you took your monitor and you put it over here to the left where your printers are, and you took your printers and put them over here on this cabinet, everything would fit really well. She went,
yeah, you come up
love
with a
that.
new solution if you have a problem.
You just have to have another set of eyes on the situation.
Different mindset.
another mind. And that's true for me too. I miss so many things. I don't know, this week, 2 or 3 things I've learned that, oh, I never even thought of that. And it's such a good idea.
Right, exactly. And I had a situation like that happen on Wednesday. The person that I've hired to take care of all my bookkeeping clients, I'm like, here's the problem that I have with the way that they're doing it this way. And she's like, oh, why don't we just do, so it was 2 partners with an S Corp that they were just doing expense reports. They were paying for QuickBooks and their cell phones and gas and all of these other business expenses personally, and then submitting a spreadsheet to get reimbursed. And then they would ask me, oh, how much do we pay for this? Or how much do we pay to this vendor? I'm like, I have no way of knowing. So she set each partner up with a checking account.
Yep.
And I never thought of that. And I think I should have, because that was awesome how she's like, oh, we'll just do this. I'm like,
Yeah.
that'll solve all the problems.
That's
And
why
so-
we're better.
Yeah, Joe's fake account and Dave's fake account. And then
Actually,
what
what
happens
would
is,
solve the problem is that they actually paid it with company funds, not personal. But
tell me about it. Shannon knows that.
Well, one of the partners is doing it right now, and the other partner is still submitting expense reports.
Love my divvy. You know how I'm changing my focus from nonprofits to art galleries? Because I want to
Yes.
have some fun in my life. And so while we were up in the mountains, every gallery I went into, I'm like, oh, how many artists do you have? And how do you ring up your sales? And walked into a gallery and she said there were 24 artists. I said, yeah. And she says there are 24 Square accounts.
That's a lot.
I said, seriously? So if you walk in with two things and it's two different artists,
Receipts.
if just go, hold on a minute, and they actually are sharing all their Square logins with each other, whoever's working. And I said, and she goes, yeah, people get really, irritated because they have to log in and then you have to log out. And I said,
But nobody logged into a wrong account with 25 of them.
oh my gosh. I said, well, at least run down and get some cheap tablets. And it was like, oh my gosh, I was like this angel that came out of the class. Oh, that's so brilliant. Because they can be ringing them. Oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, but people will do what makes sense to them at the time. But
Yeah.
I said, I wouldn't let everybody in.
That's when value pricing is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but anyway, but you talk about sometimes just another set of eyes going, oh, try this.
And everyone has to be open to doing things a new way too. If there are people that are so set in the way that they're doing it, whether it's causing problems, friction, or whatever.
Right. I have clients that I've had since the 80s, and I have a couple that every couple of years I try to do like one little change, like, hey, how about this year? Can we do this? But they get in their routine and they so I have one client every once in a while. There must be somebody, a relative of an employee or somebody, but the checking account gets compromised.
Ugh.
And then they're doing, they're just, they must be selling the routing number and the account number or something. Anyway, it happened again. And, the couple times this happened before, I said, can we have two bank accounts? One for like service merchants and EFTPS and sales tax and all that stuff, and just never give anybody that routing number other than, because when you get a new bank account, it is hell.
Oh, it is.
All
Yeah.
that reoccurring stuff. So this time I got two bank accounts.
Good.
So one's just called disbursements. This can be checks only. Something happens to it, I can close that puppy and,
Yep.
and then it was more work for us because we're going to have to monitor the accounts and move money over and make sure it's got money in it. But, so we got a little bit more work out of it. And then, I might be able to get direct deposit. I don't know. Y'all pray for me because, it's been set up, ready to go. So when he makes a decision, then I'm going to turn that, I'm just going to go for it. But.
And then he'll never look back.
Well, it's funny because when the change is implemented, because usually what you hear is, oh, why didn't we do that a long time ago?
Why didn't I do that years
Why
ago?
did you do that? Do you remember back in the old days when
The old days.
savings accounts had really good interest rates and money market?
Oh, yeah, right.
Those old
20,
days.
30
Those
years ago.
are really old days.
I think that's been a lifetime.
What's called
Long time.
a sweep account,
Yes.
where you could link it and it would sweep all the cash into the account, make interest overnight, and then sweep it back in the morning.
Ooh.
And I'm like, please let me do this. Please let me do it. And finally, when he let me do it, he was bringing in over $1,000 a month. And I said, I just paid my fee.
There you go.
That's right.
Think of all the years.
That's the kind of money to make, the money that you have to do nothing for. That
Right.
happens automatically.
But it was a pain. You had to sign, fill all the paperwork, go down to the bank, blah, blah, blah. But once it was done.
Yeah, once it's done, then the deed's done, and it's just happy times forward.
Yeah.
Right.
But those days are over.
It really shows, though, that if you keep talking to your clients, I have a client I've been working with at the Holistic Chamber now since 2010. And I originally designed a bookkeeping system, put it to a bookkeeper and that. And she's always just refused to go into QuickBooks and do anything there. And today she went into QuickBooks and I taught her how to call up a report, go to the memorized reports and get down to the memorized P&L by month for last year. And I taught her how that when you get that little magnifying glass, you can double click and it opens it up and you can see all the details of what's in a certain account, no advertising or whatever. And it was really neat. And then I said, but if you're wondering about a vendor that you want to know, well, what account is my bookkeeper putting those charges into? You know, because you might want them in a different account. You might not like where they're putting it. So I said, you go over to the vendor, and when you highlight the name, you look to the right, but you can't see what account it goes into. The category doesn't show. So you just hit Control Q and the letter A for all, and you right away see. And if they're putting in different categories, you see that too. So it was really neat. And she did it like about 10 times. So she goes like, oh, this is really kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never know when they're all of a sudden they'll be open to it.
I had a client tell me today, well, my business is doing well. I'm actually going to get a computer. Everybody's saying, hooray, now, right? Hooray, hooray. Now I can fax things to people.
Fax? What's a fax?
Okay.
Well, you know, you still have to have a fax line if you deal with the IRS.
Oh, well, you know, people,
I still have one client that likes, you know what, it works for them. They
Yeah.
walk over to the fax machine and they fax the bills to us. And we've got the little program where it actually just comes up as PDFs and we can easily just save where we want it. You know
Right.
what, I'm not going to rock the boat.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything either. Like,
Right.
yay. Yay.
I
How
like
else am
that
I
it
gonna
comes
find out
in
about all
already formatted. But.
Go ahead, Matthew.
I was just gonna say, how else am I gonna find out about all the special deals on medications if I don't keep my fax?
Vacations.
No, medications, not
Minor
vacations.
medication
And
and
vacation, actually both, huh? I guess
Yeah.
they both are vacations too.
That's hysterical.
Hey, Ernest, how's it going? Picked on him.
Ernest.
I'm just being a part.
Hi, Brandon.
So, Miss Sarah, you are going to become the Microsoft queen.
Mm.
You're
Me?
talking Gravity and Microsoft Forms.
Oh, I know. I'm really getting into these Microsoft apps. You know,
Yeah.
my husband's he's not on camera, but he's rolling his eyes down there. I can see him. But you
About
know,
time.
Forms doesn't have enough conditional logic and that kind of stuff to it. Like it's too like basic, I thought. Forms.
which one? The Microsoft Forms?
Yeah.
Even if Tiffany.
Yeah. Well, it didn't have all the. It didn't have the features that I needed. I needed to have signatures and all kinds of. I had all these other parameters, but when it came to designing the form itself,
Yeah.
it does it's beautiful and it laid out beautifully and it was so easy to do if they answer this, hop to this section. I
Is
cannot.
that Cognito Forms or Microsoft Forms?
Microsoft Forms. So I designed it first because I already had, because I'm a 365, I can, I have this. So, but then Cognito Forms has a lot more features. So once I determined that it would do everything that I needed to do, I went ahead and bought a subscription. And then I had dual monitors and I'm like, I'm just going to recreate this form over in Cognito. But when I go to say, if they answer this, hop here.
You can, so the secret to doing it is it's hiding things is what happens. So the link I sent you, the link I sent you is basically a new version of my whole process street thing I did a long time ago. But I redid it into Cognito Forms because number one, it was cheaper. And number two, it gave me the ability to actually share where I could sell the template or something of that nature.
Right. That's my goal too.
What I did is you create different sections and you can hide groups of things or only so basically make it appear upon an answer. So,
but it looked like I had to know formulas. I had to give it formulas and.
That is, if you want to go deeper into it, like I always wanted to have each question have a certain value. So if you have a multiple choice question or a drop down select, what accounting platform are you on? If it's desktop versus Xero versus online,
Right.
and whichever one you choose gives you a numerical value, it will then actually give you a score per section, because that if you use formulas, because the thought being, if you use that as like a percentage out of 100, or whatever your scores in each section, would then select, you need this level of service. Is my thought.
Oh, I don't need anything that fancy. I just want to say if they say they're sole proprietor, it hops to the.
Yeah. So EIN versus an SSN, that kind of thing, right? On the form that I like shared to everybody. Well, here, may I share my screen instead of talking about it?
I'll tell you what, if you guys aren't using forms, I mean, there's forms in Google Forms and Smartsheet forms. I mean, when you start playing around with forms, it is just, it will open up your.
You find all kinds of reasons to use those forms.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
All right,
oh,
so that's.
So social number at the bottom here. Now if I go
Yeah.
to an S Corp,
Yeah.
boom, boom,
See?
whether it's required or not.
Right.
Now if I go, so go.
Yeah, did you notice they had a social security format, but not an EIN format?
No. Whatever. So then in here, this is, you guys will recognize like the preliminary review in a second here.
Right.
Depending on the basis you're doing, what platform, if I choose desktop,
Right.
I'm going to convert. If I go QuickBooks Online, that goes away,
Yes.
right? Then
Can
this
I
is,
buy? Can I buy an RRU?
of course.
Cool.
So that as you check these off, what will happen is the listings will start growing at the top on money in. So at the top, your money in, now we'll go money out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then it starts building their need. It's like it's doing a needs assessment.
It's
Yep.
the same thing that I had in Process Street that I've just been building out. And now, I mean, I still want to make it fancier, but
Yeah.
like yes, no's, all that stuff will give different answers.
Right.
And then the same idea that building out at the end where it starts to do like reports for everything also.
Did you say this was in Microsoft Forms or Incognito?
Oh, this is Cognito.
Incognito forms.
No, Cognito.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cognito forms.
I'll get you guys in a link.
Mm-hmm. Are you using the free version or the
Paid.
Paid.
One.
It's amazing what you can do in the free.
Yeah, I wanted the conditional logic, and the other conditional logic was needed, and there was one other thing.
Well, I wanted to encrypt the social security numbers.
Yeah, so that was the other thing with this is HIPAA compliant. This can be HIPAA compliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Was important. So I've been mapping this stuff out. You can see it's not all the way done to where with Process Street, the challenge I ran into again was when you're in this, and if you want to go and print the results, you couldn't control page breaks. So it would look really ugly and you'd have to do a lot of formatting and such. Because what I envision is having some templated page that has a whole bunch of basic language that's always the same. And then I've got a section where whatever answers I have, I can put the variables in and it just fills it in. For it's the, you're doing a full review and you get the write-up right away is the whole concept. So.
Well, I know the other thing that I wanted it instead of Microsoft Forms is I want the answers to land in a document. And I talked to them, I couldn't take like an IRS form and have it put an answer where I wanted it, but I could type a Word document and then put the fields, put the answers in the Word document. And then at the end, they see the PDF, they sign it, and then they can download their filled out letter. What's that?
So both of these would work with Zapier. Cognito Forms actually works with Office 365 and Teams, just so you know.
Right, and it'll save to SharePoint. I saw that.
Yep. And then, so what I've done with our service agreements is I have all of our service agreements pulled into this. And then with the place for variables, so you could do the same thing. You could do it I'm sure you could do it like a I-9, like I-9s, everything else you need.
Yeah.
Legal form is my only concern.
Mhm.
But you have it to where either you can do a data capture and it's somebody goes and fills in just a form and it just populates data into something for you,
Right.
or you can push things with Zapier, which this is what I did with Process Street. Going through that whole questionnaire, by the time I'm done with that, I've got a person's, the thought is if it's giving us all the company information, we're getting the score. Based on the score for the different sections, it should trigger an addendum to a contract. So it would automatically populate that on and now have, like, I'm still building the rest of it out, but you would have primary contract. Hey, you got 8 out of 10 on this section, 8 out of 10 on this section. So here's an extra page, put it all together, send it out for signature, and it's all just done.
Cool.
It's the magic.
Now, what's form stack documents? That's a
Web Merge has been purchased by FormStack.
so how is that linked with Cognito?
You would zap data over. So it's another type of I'll pull one of these down. Let me get a document.
Yeah, but where's the signature program?
You can zap this to your own signature program if you want.
Because that's the other reason I wanted Cognito is it comes with a signature.
Yes, that's a good point. So now what you could do, ultimately, I would love to be able to actually take my whole service. I think I started to build it out, do the service contract in Cognito forms. What I found is you run into difficulty if you have any kind of a contract thing and you need more than just a couple words. So if it has to be variable in size, to have a program that will take and give you extra space to answer something becomes tough. And then it looks organic or natural. So the way these things work are with these little, variables. It's a bracketry company name.
So Cognito form
I think
gave you the answers that you wanted, and you're mapping them here.
Yeah. So, anyways, we can.
Well, yeah.
Like heard everybody out. We can talk about it. And
it's important that if you have a need that you can't solve with your standard programs and apps, that part of having a group like this is thinking outside the box, and like we started talking, is sometimes another set of eyes will go, hey, why don't you do da 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 da,
And especially with Microsoft, when everything's all over the place. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm still lost as what's the difference between messaging and Teams?
Right. So Teams is like Slack, but you'd have to join Slack to use it. Teams, you'd have to join Teams to use it. So yes, does it have an app and you can chat back and forth? Sure. But then this one's called Kazala or whatever it's called. And it's basically, you've got your regular texting app on your phone. It's like that, but you could separate your business from your personal.
Yeah,
Liscio does that too.
Yeah, he said it's very similar to Liscio. So they're actually using it for like if you want to if you have a group that's working on a project, and maybe they don't want to join Microsoft or Teams and all that, and all you need to do is chat and ask questions back and forth. It's got polls. It's very simple. What's cool is if you go into 365, there's so many little toys. So
I've just continued to have difficulties with service contracts, and thanks to Linda, I've been trying to use 17 hats, but the limitation I ran into is there isn't a way to add additional contracts. So like if I need to add an addendum on, I would have to take and create 10 different iterations of my contract, because I'll have my monthly service, and then we'll have a payroll addendum, and then we'll have a BPO service addendum. And if we're trying to put it all together, I keep finding it's tough to find a good solution. I liked Web Merge because I can take a Word document, a PowerPoint, anything like that, and just upload it with those little variables wherever, and it lets me do whatever I can stick anything into it, which is Cool. And it does do where you can take different documents and put them together.
You can do that with 17 Hats with the workflow thing. I just never bothered with it.
I couldn't figure it out yet.
Yeah, I've tried it, and you can put it together if you have like certain scenarios that happen. You do have to make all different documents, but if you name them, you can do if this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. You can do it.
Well, maybe I'm going to be going back to because it's all in 17 Hats. Linda, save me. So
there you go. Another person with an answer for you.
I love this stuff. Thank you, guys.
This is such a great group.
So that'll be the theme of tonight's talk.
Yeah.
Work with your peers, work with people you know. Let somebody look at whatever problem you're having. They may have a solution just like it's so simple and easy.
I have problems.
Your problem, Shannon, is not simple and easy.
No, they never are. No, just this week, I have had issues with getting, and they're all payroll related, where I have QuickBooks Desktop payroll, but I can't change my credit card in camps because for some reason I have this phantom user ID that I don't have, but the one that I use all the time is it's really my main ID, but it is a user or also has access to my camps, but I can't change anything with it. And then I also updated my credit card in QBO for my wholesale billing. And wouldn't you know, it only updated my wholesale pricing or my wholesale billing, but not my payroll. And so when the payroll subscription is trying to bill, it keeps getting rejected because it's still using the card that I recently had to shut down due to some fraud. And I tell you, I am just done. If people want my money, they're just going to have to take it instead of having me fight to give it to them.
I'll take it. I'm now accepting money. No problem.
Okay. So make it easy and I'll give it to you.
That sucks.
There you go. So today was mostly all about Microsoft. We had some big QuickBooks problems beside your payroll problem, Shannon.
Oh, yeah.
Monday.
This week started Monday with QuickBooks Online down.
Yep.
It was not a week for that to happen for me.
No, not for
But you
most
all
people.
had the foot video to cheer you up at the end of the day.
Yes, yes.
That's what happens when QBO's down. You can't do
Yeah,
anything.
people get off on the wrong
You
foot.
start playing with apps to make your face turn into a foot. I mean,
See, I didn't have a problem. I just worked in desktop all day.
that's not me too. I was thinking, should I say anything like, wow, I've been so
Okay.
productive
All
today?
day. It's never been down all day. That's the first time, and it was like, oh my God, I can't
Oh,
believe it.
it's been down all day
10 minutes.
before.
Not online. It's only been usually for me 10 minutes most, or I take a walk and come back and it's on, and it was all day, and I wasted so much time trying to log in. I should have just did something else, but I expected it to come back.
Right.
Linda, how long have you been using QuickBooks Online? Because it seems to me 5 years ago it was down a lot. It was one time it was down 3 days.
3 days.
3 days in a row.
Whenever that happened, I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before you started.
Yeah, maybe 6 years, but I was not fully, you didn't have all my clients on. I had some and some, so I probably did that, but yeah.
Bye, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
Bye, Matthew. So the other QuickBooks problem is emailing invoices out of desktop.
Oh no.
Why would
You
happen
can't.
with that?
I cannot do it using my Google account. I can use my Intuit account, and I have often through the years changed between one or the other. If one doesn't work, I go to the other. But this was the first time that I tried. I have my Gmail account hooked up to it, and I actually got a warning that said that Gmail is refusing to email through QuickBooks Desktop because it is a less secure app, and we are protecting you.
Ooh, got it.
Yeah.
Mm.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Oh my, oh my.
And
oh
then
my.
it'll just say, well, get off desktop.
I wonder if that was just like a glitch that was going on, because I've got clients who are using it and they send out hundreds of stuff like slips and everything through QuickBooks Desktop through Gmail, and it wasn't an issue this week.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Isn't
Well,
that weird? It'll be fine for some people and other people won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, right. Well, Janice Donovan, the 17 Hats creator, said that he was having problems. So yeah, that was on my, that's on the group. You can see his comment.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of things that were broken and down on Monday besides QuickBooks.
Like, who wants to start work, right?
Yeah, somebody had posted, like, I forgot, somebody from 97 and Up had posted, like, there was like Amazon was having problems, Google was having problems, like a whole bunch of things were having problems.
You know what else happened too? YouTube went through some kind of weird something or other this week too.
Wow.
Like they must have been updating and you couldn't access all of the controls exactly the way you were supposed to. So I just let go and I went back and things were fine. But I had seen posts where other people were having problems too. So
Well, see, and everybody's on Amazon web servers now. And what was it? Was it 3 or 4 years ago? They miscoded something. They hit the wrong key, and it took they took the internet down. And Intuit was not on Amazon web servers that day. So QuickBooks Online still worked, but nothing else. So it was like we were living in the twilight zone because it was opposite world. But Amazon didn't work, YouTube didn't work, Facebook didn't work, but QBO did. But so I did something else kind of foolish this week where I was, I was trying to put a new printer on my computer, and I'm like, oh, I've got, 3 pages of printers that are on this computer. So I'm just going to take off the drivers and remove the printers that I don't think I need. Well, apparently you need Microsoft XPS to print or save a PDF or do anything in QuickBooks Desktop. So if you see that and you don't know what it is,
leave it alone.
And you don't think you need it, leave it there. Yeah, Dan DeLong sent me a really awesome information article on how to fix it. I don't even know what I did because I was doing a bunch of other things, but I just was clicking buttons, and then the next day it was working again. So
good.
The File Doctor is a great program too.
Yes, yes, those work sometimes. Alrighty, we are about out of time today. Is there anything anyone wants to talk about before we sign off?
Well, tell Mary to stay warm.
Down in Florida, Mary. I love that.
There.
I would say that whenever you have a problem, make sure you come Friday between 2 and 3 Pacific time. And what's really neat is if you call any of the people here that know you and you know them at 5 o'clock after they've closed, they take your call on their home phone, which is really nice.
Yeah, that caller ID can be dangerous, but I knew who you were, so.
That's right. So thank you very much.
Sure.
All righty, everybody. We will see you same time, same place next week.
All right.